actually is a piece of steel from the World Trade Center, which we take with us on September 11th when we're conducting memorial services. Primarily, we conduct a memorial service on September 11th in Atlantic City with the fire department and police departments. And there's a few thousand people that visit each year, and we fire both our cannons at that memorial event.
You know, Chuck, what you do is very, it's not just admirable, but it's also noteworthy that you and the volunteers who serve in this capacity are actually paying homage to the men and women who have served in harm's way and giving them a dignified transfer, if you will, to the final resting place. I understand, and I've been to some of your events and really was just felt, you can't help but feel the emotion, especially given the fact that you provide an artillery salute, a single volley fired from a Civil War cannon, the tolling of a large memorial bell 3 times, and a 3-volley rifle salute, and the rendering of taps and the folding and presentation of a memorial flag. Why did you include that? Because that is so touching, not only to the families, but to the people in attendance.
When we first started Last Salute, I noticed that honors, basic honors, only included the sounding of taps and the folding of the flag. Now, it seemed to me that service should be honored in a greater way. And as you know, Kelly, I don't do anything halfway. So once we started doing funerals with basic military honors, taps, and folding and presentation of the flag, that quickly evolved into including items such as the artillery salute. We're the only all-volunteer, all-veteran military funeral honor guard in the country that possesses cannons and uses them at each and every single funeral. We have 2 cannons now, the Jamie Lee and the Mike D. We use one primarily at all funerals unless there is a circumstance which requires or suggests that we use 2. After a cannon fires, as you said, we have a large memorial bell, a ship's bell, which we ring 3 times. And then rifles will fire 3 volleys. And after the rifles fire 3 volleys, then we will play taps, fold and unfold the flag. The folding of the flag is especially important. It is the final act of honor. The deceased, the fallen hero, spent his life honoring the flag, and now the flag honors him. When I first presented a flag, I was terrified, and I practiced relentlessly to make sure it was perfect. But nothing could have prepared me for how I felt while I was actually folding and presenting the flag. As I was folding the flag, it was silent except for the emotions of the family. And I'm folding the flag and my heart was beating out of my chest. I could feel my ears pounding. And all I could think was, after I was done folding the flag, I was going to have to turn and present it to the widow. And as I said, I was terrified. After we folded, I started to walk toward the widow, and she became more emotional. I dropped to a knee, and I pressed the flag into her hands, and she clutched it to her chest. And it was at that moment I realized how important the symbolism of that moment was. That flag was being traded for her husband who laid behind me. She was leaving with that flag from the cemetery, but her husband was remaining behind with us. So, as I said what I was supposed to say, and I stood and saluted her and turned and walked away, I realized in that moment I had an epiphany how important these military funeral honors were to the families. So that is why we formed Last Salute. That is why it is elaborate as it is, with the cannons and the rifles and the memorial bell. most importantly, something that we haven't talked about yet, but everyone who we do services for is aware of, is our memorial prayer box. It's right behind me on the right here, on my right, on your left. This prayer box I fashioned a few years ago, 8 years ago. When we first started doing the funerals, as many people do, we took the prayer cards that often have a photograph of the deceased on them, and I started to put them in a canvas bag inside one of our Humvees. And as we collected them, I felt we should be doing something more significant, more important to honor them. So we built this box out of wood taken from within a church. The church was being taken down, and I asked the church if we could have wood from inside. They said yes. We were excited when I told them what we were going to do. So we built this chest, and we started to have family members put the card directly into the prayer box at each and every funeral that we conduct. And when we do that, we tell them once they place their family member's prayer card or photograph inside our prayer box, they become a permanent member of our honor guard. They travel with us everywhere we go, overwatching everything that we do. This has meant the world to the families. We realized quickly how important it had become and took on a life of its own. So everywhere we go, we have this prayer box. This prayer box has been with us when we conducted a ceremony at Arlington. It was flown on a Black Hawk helicopter from Fort Dix to Vineland for the renaming of the middle school after the first Army Ranger to die in the Black Hawk Down battle, Dominic Pella. It was honored at the Battleship New Jersey. It's been carried across countless military bases. Last November, it was at the New Jersey Governor's Mansion, where 2 New Jersey governors honored those inside. It was then placed on a Coast Guard helicopter and flown over restricted airspace in Washington, D.C. to include the Pentagon, the Capitol, the White House, and of course, Arlington National Cemetery. Each Memorial Day, we place it in a military backpack and we carry it 21 miles. All of this is to honor those that we place inside, because we make a solemn promise, not just to honor the fallen, the family's loved one on the day of the service that we conduct, but perpetually. So this prayer box, which now hosts over 1,000 of the fallen, is with us everywhere we go. And we make sure that we honor them in a way that the families feel that they should be honored.
Chuck, I really personally want to thank you for the honor and recognition that you bring to the military members and to their families. It's so important what you do with Last Salute. This show is about hope. It's called America's Hope. And on a day like this, when we remember the attack on America, and as you rightly pointed out, the Pentagon, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, New York City, but then you factor in all of the battlefields that American soldiers and Marines and all the military members have fought on to defend the freedoms we cherish, as I stated at the top of our interview. And you see the political landscape in America today and the visions that we have. What would be your message to America about having hope for America going forward?
Well, Kelly, as you can imagine, much like the military, Last Salute works very closely with the military all the time, and we are absolutely non-political. But with that said, when I present a flag, doesn't matter to me who's in the White House. When I say on behalf of the President of the United States, that's what we mean. I'm more concerned about the fact that there seems to be less people interested in doing something good for their community. It's not just veteran services organizations like the VFW or American Legion or the Marine Corps League that are suffering from lack of new members, but it's also civic organizations like the Elks Club. Where has everybody gone? Why are people not doing positive things in their community? One of the things I'm most proud of with Last Salute is that when we conduct a ceremony, oftentimes when there's a large number of people at these cemeteries, at these funerals, we're conducting over 150 a year, most of these civilians, most of these people have never actually come in contact with a uniformed member of the military. So it's important that we are as professional as possible, because we want them to leave with a very positive image of the United States military. The legacy of the military is important to us. But overall, as I was saying before you and I started the interview, I'm more concerned about the fact that people in society seem more interested in tearing each other down instead of building each other up. We need to celebrate each other's accomplishments. We need to stand behind each other. We need to help each other along to improve all of our lives and do positive works, however that may be done. Take part in your community, even amongst your friends. Be more supportive of your friends. Stop looking for ways to tear other people down or speak poorly of them. Try to be a positive person. And I guess that's the message that I'd like to get across. On September 11th, when we were all attacked, we all came together. Let's not forget that we can do that.
And Chuck, I thank you for the opportunity to have you on and share what you're doing with Last Salute and how you're serving the community that way, but also how you're leading by example. Thank you so much. And we're coming back with more in just a moment.